So welcome everybody to the Right Stuff Team Literary Salon, the first one, hopefully not the last. My name is Holly Curtis, and I am a Community Organizing Associate with I AM ALS. I just wanted to start the meeting by saying these are going to be some really personal stories. Some of them may deal with themes that are very emotional and difficult to hear. So if you are finding that you're in need of support after this event, you can email our community support team at gethelp@iamals.org, and I just put that in the chat. Or if you feel more comfortable, you can also reach out to me directly. My email is Holly, HOLLY, @iamals.org, and I also just put that in the chat. And I'm going to go ahead and hand things off to Katrina, who is our moderator tonight. So Katrina, you can take it away.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. 82 years after Lou Gehrig's death, a team of talented writers living with and or impacted by ALS meet every Thursday morning at 11 Eastern. In early spring of 2023, Juliet Taylor, ALS News Today columnist, introduced the idea of starting the Right Stuff team. As one of I AM ALS's newest teams, the Right Stuff team, established as a team, started a blog and has a poster accepted to the 2023 ALS MND Symposium. The Right Stuff co-leads, Dr. Shelley Hoover, Juliet Taylor, and Katrina Bird, welcomes you tonight to our first event, which is a literary salon. I will introduce each reader, and after each reader finishes their piece, we will pause just maybe for a minute or two because we have plenty of time, and let you do your hand claps or whatever you want to put in the chat. And then Holly will read those comments that you've placed in the chat. Okay, and I will be dropping, if I have information about a writer, I'll be dropping it into the chat. And if that writer has information and that they want dropped in where you can follow them and so forth, then you are welcome to drop it in the chat. And so our first reader tonight is Ellen Adcock.
Well, first, I just wanted to thank you, Katrina, for putting this together. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to be able to read some of my work. I decided to submit I'm going to read my latest piece that I did put in the Right Stuff blog. So some of you may have seen this already, but it will be the first time that you actually hear it in my voice. It is an emotional subject. It's about a complicated relationship that I have with my mom, but how it has come to be a blessing to me. And it's titled Her Smile. I used to hate that I looked like my mother. I have her smile, her eyes, the shape of her jaw, and I hated the comparison between the two of us. So different from her was I, and how desperate she was for me to be just like her. When I saw myself in pictures, I saw her bright smile, the face she put on for the world. Truly, her face lit up the entire room when she smiled. It was the reason strangers were so drawn to her and her energy. It was the reason she has such a close-knit group of friends, and maybe why I do too. That brilliant smile and her joyous laughter were so different from the ugly side that I saw as her daughter. The anger and the bitterness that she turned toward me when she was drinking and in the depths of her depression. When I was older and understood that her seemingly unfounded anger was because of a deep self-loathing, guilt and shame about her own personal choices and behavior, I was able to forgive her and find peace in the knowledge that it wasn't me she was attacking after all, but herself. That forgiveness came, unfortunately, at the same time she was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and I lost her all too soon thereafter. Our complicated relationship was resolved in the few months that we spent together during her final journey. We were two halves of the same whole. Nothing mattered but the deep love we felt for one another. Now that she's been gone these many years, I feel only comfort and familiarity when I see her face reflected back at me in the mirror. I like to imagine that I am seeing her soul coming through to show me the unconditional love she was unable to give while she was alive. Loving me for the person I have become instead of the person she projected upon me. Her visage soothed the pain of losing my husband to ALS, the one person in my life who, from the time he met me at my tender age of 8, loved me completely, easily, unconditionally. It is almost as though she's there to mother me through this, the most painful part of my life, even more painful than the loss of her or the loss of my father. It is her face that I wake to each morning, dragging myself through the morass that is my joyless morning, trying to motivate myself to move past the bathroom mirror into the kitchen to start some coffee before I perform the chicken chores, or head into my home office for the day's work. It is her voice that prods me to get up and move when all I want to do is hide under the covers and doom scroll until I fall back asleep again. It was her diligence and stoic practicality, the guise of a functioning alcoholic, that kept her going in the later years of her life. And it is those same qualities, as well as the gently coaxing circle of loving friends that surround me, that keep me going through this, my first year of widowhood. My hair is gray, where hers was still naturally dark when she passed at the age of 72. Her eyes a deep chocolate brown, where mine are hazel. But that bright transformational smile that we share links us forever in time. So too does the memory of caring for her as she lay dying. Lessons we both learned together. Lessons that prepared me for the ALS FTD journey with my husband. It may sound asinine that I am grateful for the difficult lessons learned as a caregiver of an alcoholic narcissistic mother, and caregiver for my husband with early onset dementia and fast moving ALS. But I am truly grateful for the opportunity to model love and care for my friends and family, and grateful for the opportunity to grow into myself in a way I never would have without the loss of these two pivotal people in my life. And I am ever so grateful for her smile.
Thank you so much, Ellen. That was so brave and courageous of you. Wonderful presentation.
In the chat, Jill says, so beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Ellen. And Debbie says, thank you for, oh, there's a lot of things coming in here. Debbie says, thank you for sharing your beautiful story. Shannon says, really nice. Chanel says, beautiful. Mandy says, thank you. That speaks to me so much more than I can express. Juliet says, that is beautiful, Ellen. And Tim says, thank you for opening up.
Thank you so much for that, Ellen.
Maybe we can all thank the roosters for not chiming in.
That was just beautiful. All right, so we have our next reader is the one and only Juan Reyes.
Ellen, that was beautiful. Thank you for sharing your beautiful smile. reasons that I chose to share, but I'm gonna do the first one and see if I have time to share the second one. The first one is titled Running Through My Mind. I went for a run today after waking through the neighborhood. I stretched and then opened the front door and was greeted by a cool breeze and the overcast morning. I started out the door, down the driveway, and onto the asphalt. It had a slight sheen through its surface from a light drizzle. My feet struck the ground rhythmically, a slight ache starting in my quads, warming up with every football and contraction of the muscles. Up the street intersection, I turned left deeper into the community. Homes on either side, grass glistening as the sun rays strike the green blades. Yards well manicured with an occasional obstinate weed breaking through the surface, as if to declare, I'm still here. I continue on my quest for a good stride as I coast through the quiet streets, crossing the road from time to time to give way to a neighbor walking their dog, politely nodding good morning, expressed in the gesture. They respond in kind as they subconsciously tug on the leash. I navigate through the neighborhood, left, right, cul-de-sacs, and so on. Having reached my point of return, I retrace my course, again encountering friendly faces, wagging tails, and lolling tongues. It's a beautiful overcast morning, a beautiful day. I approach my house, come to a walk, and begin a brief cool down, relishing the ache in my legs and the burning in my lungs. As my body normalizes, I take one more look at the morning sky before opening my front door. As I do, I am enveloped by the aroma of fresh brewed coffee. I ran through my mind this morning. It's my only way due to ALS. It feels real every time though. Not the running, but the ache in my legs and the burn in my lungs because of my ALS. Thank you.
That's a beautiful one. And you do have time to read the second one if you'd like, and take your time and read it.
I'll read the portion. This is a short series that I titled Morning Coffee. Good morning, Death. Come join me for a cup of coffee. I've noticed you hanging around most mornings. Good morning, Juan. Can I call you Juan? Yes, of course, I replied. Get comfortable. By the way, how do you like me? Oh, never mind, I can guess. Black with no sugar. Am I that obvious? Replies Death. But yes, black. Although I do like pumpkin spice from time to time. It is such a maligned flavor. I look at that and I have to ask, where's the headache glove and the sickle? He replies by saying, oh really? Can you be so obtuse? That's such an archaic visage created by superstition to generate fear. I actually prefer to appear as a family member that has passed. I'm not a cruel being. I actually care. I replied by saying I never thought of it like that. And how's the coffee? Good, Dad says. What is it? I replied, Folgers. Nothing fancy. It's good, Dad says. So I have a question. Yes, I know. How can you see me? That's not creepy, I replied. Well, I am a supernatural being, he says, with a practiced grin and perfect pearly whites. I then take a long sip of my coffee, closing my eyes to savor the warmth. When I open my eyes, Death is gone, and the morning news drones on in the background. I am strangely calm, and the coffee tastes really good. Morning coffee with Death.
Thank you so much, Juan. And you look so pretty in your boa. Thank you so much for that beautiful story. And Holly, you can give people just a little minute if you want to get things in the chat before you start reading them. Juan started our blog. It was the idea of Andrew to have some type of communication from this team, and Juan was he started it, and it has been a success.
Katrina, maybe you can share the BOA story while chat is coming in so people understand why some of us have them on.
Oh, so yeah, so the BOAs are my thing. I started them when I did I was a cast in a play called Red Hat Society, and where I played a 67-year-old diva. No need to pull up that video. But that was my first time to interact with a feather boa. Once the play was over, I'm still an emerging writer, but we had a workshop with the Mississippi Arts Commission And the leader was saying that we should start a fan page. And that was so weird. It's like we're celebrities or something. So I started the fan page, but I had nothing to talk about because I didn't have very many publications. So I started talking about my feather boa and so forth. And this was developed greatly over the years after. And Dora was my partner of 23 years, was so invested in this. And so when she was diagnosed with ALS, I had my hair braided pink, and the nurse came over, and Dora was showing her that she's going to have it green the next time. And so once Dora passed, and we started the Many Shades of ALS team, which is the team that focuses on people of color living with and or impacted by ALS. It was suggested that we use the boas as a way, the feather boas as a way to celebrate community members. And so we passed out a lot of them, or I've sent a lot of them. And then it was really amazing to come to the flag event in DC and see so many people in feather boas. So, but that's kind of a little feather boa history. I wasn't prepared to give that, but I think that was a great thing to suggest. Holly, whenever you're ready.
So this is back to Ellen. So Deb says, "You are so brave, Ellen. So very well done." And Ellen says, "Thank you all for your kind words and the support. Love to you all." Caroline says, "Very brave, Ellen. So much of your story resonates with me." And then Katrina put Juan's bio in the chat. And then Jill said, "Wonderful, Juan. Always a pleasure to hear your writings." Ellen says, "Your stories always paint such a vivid picture, Juan." Debbie says, "Brilliant." Chanel says, "Juan, thank you for sharing your wonderful words. Such vivid imagery that takes me right into your stories." Shannon says, "Such descriptive language. Both. Wow."
Thank you so much, Holly. So our next reader is Juliet Taylor. She's one of the co-chairs of this team. And so take it away, Juliet.
Great. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you for organizing this event too. I think this is really a nice way to share with a lot of points of view on ALS. So thank you. On a snowy morning 3 years ago in Ann Arbor, Michigan, my late husband Jeff sped the entire length of the University of Michigan football field in his blue power wheelchair. Light snow was falling as his brothers and I watched him fly down the field, a flannel blanket around his lap, his expression one of pure and utter joy. The scene was one of the most magical of my life, a moment I will never forget. We were on a scheduled public tour of the awe-inspiring stadium, affectionately known to fans as the Big House. It's the largest stadium in the United States. I'd set up the tour as a surprise to Jeff, a hardcore Michigan football fan, while we visited family in Michigan in early March 2020. But when our small group of 5 arrived at the stadium, we discovered to our delight that we were the only fans on the tour, essentially making it private. We explored the stadium in wonder and awe, 3 diehard Michigan fans and their wives. Our morning at the stadium was the last full day of a week spent immersed in the company and love of family and friends, a week I now think about more like a summer camp for grown-ups. Jeff and I lived in Maryland, and I'd driven us to Michigan in our mobility van so that we could spend uninterrupted time with family there. The journey itself was ambitious. Jeff's ALS was advanced, making the trip all the more important. I remember now that our packing list of medical supplies covered the full front and back of a sheet of notebook paper without exaggeration. It was at least 100 items long. Once in Michigan, we moved into his sister Janet's spacious dining room. She graciously offered her new home as a site for this gathering, with some family members occupying different bedrooms and others coming to visit daily. She'd rented a hospital bed and a Hoyer lift for us, and thoughtfully put up a partition screen so that we'd have some privacy if needed. As it turned out, privacy wasn't needed. Janet's house was teeming with people and love. Each morning, we'd all assemble in the large living room, collectively sharing stories and memories. We'd spend the entire day and well into the evening basking in each other's company and laughing. We'd share too in caring for Jeff, taking turns with his meals, medications, and personal care needs. There was no sadness that week, only gratitude and joy for the time together. We made new memories too, new inside jokes, new stories, and new beginnings, as Jeff's daughter shared with him that week the incredible news that he was going to become a grandfather to a baby girl. When the time came to leave Janet's house, driving back to Maryland was tough. It was hard not to compare this drive to the dozens we'd done together before along this route, Jeff always driving his blue pickup while we talked, joked, and planned our future. This time, as I pulled our mobility van out of Janet's driveway, Jeff was crying. Realistically, we both knew he likely wouldn't see some of his loved ones again. That feeling was wrenching. That was the best week of my life, Jeff told me via type to text as we rode down the street toward home. I reflect on that moment and those words often. I think about the simple beauty of gathering together, no agenda, no grand plans, just people we love making time to be together, taking an opportunity that might not come again. Of all the things Jeff had experienced in his life, an exciting career, world travel, his favorite had been a week with his family while living with ALS. A week after we arrived home, COVID-19 gripped the country and lockdowns went into effect. Visits with friends became unsafe and impossible. Even our ALS clinic had to suspend in-person appointments. We'd been so lucky in our timing, as the trip to Michigan couldn't have happened even a week after we'd returned home. I think often about how ALS robbed Jeff of the chance to meet his granddaughter, attend more Michigan football games with his brothers, and keep fishing on his beloved Green Lake. I think about how it robbed us of the chance to grow old together in a peaceful spot on a creek, as we'd always imagined. And then I think too about the gifts we were given, the perspective to understand for us what was really important in life, and his courage and dignity and joy in making those moments happen. Jeff's big house touchdown, late in life in a wheelchair in the snow, will eternally symbolize this for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliet. That's beautiful. What kind of fish do y'all catch up there?
Oh, I have no idea. Tan fish, brown fish.
That
Thank
was
you for
so great.
Juliet, I love that description because that's how I describe the fish my husband catches. He grabs that every time. So I love that. And
Slimy
yes, and fish with teeth. But
Yeah.
I also really like the line about him not being able to meet his granddaughter hits me. My stepdad, had he lasted or made it 2 more days, he would have been able to meet his first grandson from his oldest son. And I feel so much of that. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Mandy. That's actually, I think about that so often when I interact with Sierra, my granddaughter, who's turning 3 this week. I just, I wish that she had him, and I wish that he'd been around to, could have stayed to meet her. He was born to be a grandparent, and I'm trying to, fill some part of that role.
Thank you so much, Juliet. Holly, whenever you're ready.
So I realized I missed a couple from before. Sorry about that. So about Juan's story, Juliet said, "So vivid. Both stories are beautiful. Thank you for sharing." Mandy said, "Juan, amazing, but I'm not surprised. You are an incredible wordsmith." And Ellen said, "Your second story reminds me of the narration in The Book Thief, which I just watched for the first time last weekend." Katrina put Juliet's bio in the chat. Jill said, "Thanks, Juliet. I love getting to know Jeff through your stories." Sorry about the noise in the background. Debbie said, "Family, what a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing." Juan says, "A perfect reminder to enjoy the moments." Ellen says, "Love this story of family. I was reminded too of the trips Larry and I used to make, and I connect with the idea of you now driving where he used to. That's an experience I also shared." Chanel says, "Juliet, that was so wonderful. Thanks for sharing the perfect week with us." And Shannon says, "I imagine Jeff's grin as he blazed down the field."
Thank you, everyone, for those kind words. I really appreciate them. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliet, and thank you, Holly. So our next reader is Mandy Bailey.
I'm going to start out by saying I am not nearly as talented as the writers that you've heard. I am a baby writer, and Katrina, God love her.
Ignore all of that prefaceness. I don't cut that out of the recording, Holly. So I'll introduce Mandy. Mandy is an amazing writer, and she is going to take the stage with her beautiful, beautiful story.
And this story is a story that has been a long time coming. I'm not somebody that likes to let people in. I let you in to a point, but then after that, it's too much. And recent experiences have led me to see that I'm not alone and how valuable that really is. And so this story started in August in a little hotel room with several people that mean the world to me and that are my family. So this is just kind of my experience of recognizing that I'm not alone and that I have people there to help me. So I wrote this, and this is something that only Katrina has ever read before. It's called Plastic Forks in Dark Places. All we have tonight are plastic forks. I haven't gotten to the dishes yet, I said, fighting back tears. It's okay. How can we help you? My friends could see through the smile plastered on my face. They knew I was lost again. I'd gone back to that dark place. That place deep inside that I went when the world hurt too much. My soul was shattered, and I needed to feel okay. I didn't know where else to go. It'd been a while since I'd been back here, but it welcomed me like an old friend, and I let the familiar safety of it swallow me. I could escape the well-meaning noise of the world that hurt more than it helped. And it was okay for me to be silent and withdraw. The quiet darkness understood. I can be sad, I can be angry, I can feel all of the things that I try to hide, or I can sit there in silence and not feel anything, protected from the pain. No one can judge me here. At first, it feels so good to hide away from the world, but soon the darkness starts to feel heavy and suffocating, and I'm lost, I'm alone, and I can't find a way out. Giving in to the darkness feels like the only choice. Fighting back feels impossible. I've done it before, but this time is different. From somewhere in the darkness, a hand reached out. I wasn't alone. There were people with me, feeling the same brokenness and trying to find their way out just like me. We saw each other's scars and we recognized the hurt. And while I've never let anyone in before, these people managed to find a way through. I've been too ashamed to let people see my scars. The hurt and pain's been too much for me to handle, so what would other people say? I'm damaged goods. Who could possibly love that? It's too scary to let people really see. But now, I'm with these strangers trapped in a room. And for the first time in a long time, I felt safe. We held on to each other and we searched for a way home. We know the path out here isn't a straight line. And they are familiar with the twists and turns. They've been here before. But now we're in this together. And we're not leaving anyone behind. When one of us is weak, the others rally around until the strength to continue returns. I used to think that I was strong because I didn't need anyone. I can handle this by myself. I can find my way out on my own. I've been here. I've done this before. But now I see that the real strength is letting people in and allowing them to walk beside me. and hold my hand as we find our way out again. Life's going to get tough, and I'm sure I'm going to go back to my quiet place again. But if I get lost, I know I won't have to dig myself out alone. All I have to do is reach my hand out, and they're going to be there, and we're going to find a way again. Even if we have our plastic forks, I know that we're going to be okay. And that's, it's a work in progress. But man, this is dedicated to so many in the ALS community that have rallied around. And that dark place has come for me so many times. But it really, this community has helped me recognize what I have and the family that I have found in y'all. So it's a work in progress, but that's where my heart is tonight. And I'm grateful for the plastic forks and the people who keep reaching their hands out to help me every single time. So thank you.
So in the chat, Tim says, but Mandy, you know Oxford commas, which I think was in response to Mandy saying she wasn't a real writer. Ellen says, liar, liar, pants on fire. Girl, you are a writer. And Tim says, wow, great work. Juliet says, so extraordinary, Mandy, absolutely beautiful. Debbie says, so grateful you have found this new place for you to be with new friends. Big hugs to you. Caroline says, anytime you need a plastic fork, we're here. Jill says, that is the most beautiful story. We all need that special group of friends. Shannon says, really good. I liked how you transitioned from I to we. And Chanel says, Mandy, magnificent. And Juan says, holy shit, lady, not a writer my ass.
Thank y'all so much. And I will be absolutely honest in saying that this week, with everything that's going on in the community and out, and everywhere, the dark place has been coming back for me. But those hands are coming for me. And it's such a powerful thing. And putting it down in words, I can't do it justice for the strength and the power that it gives me to know that I've got people there for me, because I've never wanted to rely on that before. I've always wanted to do it on my own, but it's pretty cathartic to get it out on words and to have those people to support you.
Yeah, you got us now. That was just beautiful, Mandy. And Juan, thank you so much for using swear words. So, you know how you have these beautiful, when you come to events like this, and you have people with these beautiful heart-touching stories, and then this one person comes to the mic and kind of turns everything around. That's me. I will say that my story, the closest it gets to ALS, is that every time I wrote a piece, Dora was the first reader. So she read this. This is the last story that she read of mine. And this was published a few months after she died. And anyway, so the story, it's funny, so laugh. It's inappropriate, laugh at that. And it has some sex in it, so laugh at that, or take notes or instructions if you need to learn something new. Okay, here we go. The title of this is Every Room in the House. My high school had a daycare center for unwed mothers. At 15, I was a virgin. Many of my classmates had at least one child, some had 2 or 3. Fearful that I would become pregnant, my mother designed the keep it locked method to encourage me from having sex. Keep it locked was synonymous to keep your legs closed. Whenever I left the house, my mother would stand on the porch and wait until I reached the end of the walk. Once I stepped onto the curb and started down the street, she would yell, "Keep it locked." Though embarrassing, the method worked. I was still a virgin when I graduated high school. As an adult living in my own apartment, the keep it locked method was no longer effective. I met somebody. He liked me. I thought I liked him. After a few sexual encounters, I felt like a failure. I didn't enjoy it. There were no sparks. I must have done something wrong. But how does one get an F in sex? How could I have done how how could I have done it wrong? Well, maybe it wasn't me. Maybe it was his clumsy, uncoordinated ass. Who gets carpet burns on both knees and then cries about them? Our next encounter resulted in a broken lamp. Our last encounter ended with him hitting me and me beating his ass with an 18-inch stereo speaker. He stood outside my door for 20 minutes begging for his clothes. My failure at sex never kept me from telling a good story the next day. Why should my friends have to suffer? And it made me, the good girl, more human to them. My accounts of naughty sexual experiences kept them on the edge of their seats. But the stories weren't enough for me. I wanted compassion, respect, and love. Sex without love is merely healthy exercise, writes controversial and influential science fiction author Robert Heinstein. In my mid-20s, I was confident, respectable, and smart. I could talk a good game, but my focus on shallow things, a nice car, big head hundreds, and a nice ass, landed me in one loveless relationship after another. Something needed to change. I decided a new relationship was the answer to my misery. After 6 weeks with my own again, off again boyfriend, I was ready to just give up on ever finding the right man. A narcissist and a bad dresser. He criticized everything I did. He was also extremely jealous, and sex with him was as satisfying as having my wisdom tooth pulled. On a sunny October evening, I decided to end our relationship. At dinner at the mall's food court, I couldn't get a word in. He went on and on about his boss and how his boss didn't appreciate him. After dinner, he marched me into the jewelry store and instructed the clerk to show me a $4,000 engagement ring. To his surprise, I declined the ring, which wasn't accompanied by a proposal. Running from the store, I felt destined to a life of failed relationships. What did I do wrong? At home, over a half gallon of butter pecan ice cream and a bottle of Behringer's White Zinfandel, I realized I was the one thing missing from my relationships. In every relationship, my goal to please my man was top priority. I let the man choose the restaurant. I let the man choose the movie. I let the man choose when we would go out. How could I stop being a man pleaser? I had to learn to please myself. Before I could learn to love anyone else, I had to learn to love myself. A shift in thinking strengthened my self-worth. I was more than a booty call, more than a 10-minute story, and more than that 2 minutes brothers be asking for. I wanted love, but I didn't know how to get it. We are not born fluent in love, but spend our life learning about it, writes Caroline Mace in her book, Anatomy of the Spirit. She goes on to say, the energy of love is pure power. After I learned to love myself, I experienced that pure power. For a year, I refrained from looking for Mr. Right and started looking for myself. I fell in love with my kinky hair, my full lips, my dry sense of humor. I found I liked alone time, plants, and writing. Through self-evaluation, I traded society's imposed happiness for personal happiness. I wanted love, loyalty, and respect. The more I detached from the big head hundreds and the tight asses, the more I became attracted to the joy of a sunrise, a strong cup of tea, and freedom to make mistakes. My life changed from lonesome days and unfulfilled days after nights of sweating it up in the sheets. It changed to long conversations, laughter, and satisfaction in every room in the house. The keep it locked method was my mother's way of encouraging me to value myself and to put my goals and dreams first. 20 years later, still the 20 years later, still the defender of my self-worth and the queen of my bedroom, I continue to define my own happiness. Thank you so much for listening to that. And if I offended anybody, then, hey, there it is.
Well, I'm glad I didn't have to go after that. My goodness, amazing, Katrina.
I hope Caleb wasn't around to hear all of that.
That was amazing, Katrina. Really, seriously, fantastic writing.
Well, thank you. I did my next relationship after it was almost like I was preparing myself for Dora. So she was actually my next relationship. And I didn't have to worry about all those games and all that stuff that was going on. So.
And that was 23 years that you two were together, right? You and Dora.
Yes, we were together 23 years. Yes.
So beautiful.
So thank you. So I think
that gives a whole new twist to the term locksmith.
I was trying to be professional and not do the goofy laugh, but thanks, Juan. It's out there now. And Chanel, I guess this is different from anything that you've heard of me in many shades, but thank you for being here.
And
Okay.
in the chat, Ellen says, great, now I want butter pecan ice cream. And Juliet says, and a bottle of Behringer. Chanel says, Katrina, you never fail to make me laugh. Through the laughter, what a wonderful message. Love yourself. Hashtag keep it locked. Debbie says, that was awesome. Jill says, brilliant and hilarious. Juliet says, so good, Katrina. I absolutely love your writing. What a powerful message. Debbie says, hashtag keep it locked. Love it. Deb says, the talent here is bringing me so much needed joy tonight. Juan, I'm so sorry for the noise. Juan, I love the places you take us with your stories. Juliet, you took me back to similar and special times with my Tim. Thank you. Mandy, you are a beautiful writer on and off paper. Katrina, amazing as always. I'm always at the edge of my seat. Thanks all. And Shannon says, great lessons, ones that everyone struggles with. I also liked energy of love is pure power.
Thank you all so much. And thank you so much for the audience engagement. We have about 30 something minutes left. But if anyone has anything that they would like to say, or that's great. And if not, then I can go on to the closing remarks, which are very brief.
I would like to say thank you to Katrina and the co-chairs of The Right Stuff for hosting this tonight. The Right Stuff team has been such an incredible gift to the community. It's helped so many people, including me, find a voice that I didn't know that I had. And there's something really special about that team. We're not a normal team. We start off with meditations, and it is one of my absolute favorite times during the week. The fun and the excitement and the joy that you see from the writers tonight is just a small glimpse into what you would get every Thursday with The Right Stuff. So thank you, thank you, thank you to Katrina, Juliet, Shelley, who's not here, but the co-chairs of this team have done an incredible job building this group and helping to encourage us as writers and as baby writers trying to find a way to express all of the things that they've been through in the ALS community. So thank you so much to you guys for giving us this space.
Debbie says, was awesome. Thanks all for sharing your stories.
And thank you everyone for the kind words here in the meeting and in the chat. I wanted to add that anyone is welcome to join our team. Absolutely anyone. We meet at 11 o'clock Eastern time every Thursday morning. And it's just a really special way of encouraging all of us and each other to find our voice. So we welcome new members, and you don't have to have any writing experience.
And if you're looking for an excellent mindfulness exercise every week, I invite you to join us because Katrina is a natural coach in mindfulness.
I second that, Juan. I make sure that my house during that meeting, that sacred hour of Thursday, 11 o'clock Eastern, is empty so that I can make sure that I dedicate everything to that meeting because it's so valuable. And the way that this team is led, and we just have that space to be open and honest and share the things that are really in our heart and on our mind. It's so valuable.